So today we're going to be activating some nuts, and when you're doing the GAPS diet or even paleo or just trying to eat well, activating your nuts can be really important. Nuts, seeds, grains, all of it is covered in something called phytic acid or phytates, and they're considered to be an anti-nutrient, which means that in order for them to be properly digested from the body by the body, they will strip nutrients from your body in order to break these down. Not only that, but phytic acid is very irritating to the gut lining, and it's a great design by nature in that she's trying to perpetuate the life cycle of her seeds, and nuts are seeds. Seeds are seeds, obviously. Grains are a type of seed. And so Mother Nature wants them passing through digestive systems as quickly as possible so that they can become a new plant at the end of that life cycle. And if you use the example of a bird lands on a stalk of grass, which happens to be grain, eats a couple of grains, flies away, poops it out somewhere, perfect manure around that seed, and it sprouts as new life. That obviously does not happen in a lot of circumstances in modern diets because things are so over-processed. And certainly with the mastication or chewing that goes on of things like nuts, that's never going to happen, but Mother Nature doesn't know that. So she surrounds her seeds with phytates to protect them, but it means that your body wants to spit them out really quickly, so that can really upset your digestion because it's got to go from mouth to anus really, really quickly. And so in order to remove the irritation that nuts and seeds and grains cause to the digestive tract, we need to reduce the amount of phytates that are on the outside of the nut, seed or grain. So in this case today, we're going to use Australian almonds. These are insecticide free. They're not organic. Sometimes organic can be really hard to get hold of and very expensive. And I always say, choose the best quality food that you can afford. That's my mantra. So today we're using insecticide-free Australian almonds. We're just going to open up that packet. I'm going to pour them into the bowl. All right, so in order to reduce the amount of phytates around those nuts and improve our body's ability to digest them, we're going to add a couple of teaspoons of salt. Don't worry, this will be rinsed off later. And we're going to add some water. And you want to more than cover your nuts because they absorb a lot of water, and you don't want them sitting above the water once they've swollen out because they tend to attract molds then, and you don't want that. I'll just give that a stir to dissolve the salt. So we're going to leave these nuts now to soak for about 18 to 24 hours. I like to soak mine overnight. I tend to put them on in the afternoon and while I'm cooking dinner, and then the next afternoon while I'm cooking dinner I will strain all the water off, give them a rinse, and then put them into the dehydrator. So we'll leave those to sit now, and we'll come back when they've all swollen up and have a look at what they look like and go from there. Okay, so the nuts have been soaking overnight. You can see that they've swollen up. They're not dry and shriveled anymore. And I've rinsed them off under some fresh water. And now we need to basically re-dehydrate them so that they're dry and crunchy again. You can eat them like this. I don't particularly enjoy them. So you can use two things. You could use a dehydrator, or you can use your oven. Now, if you're going to use your oven, you really do need an oven that goes lower than 50 degrees. Nuts have oils in them that are easily damaged, and so you need to keep your temperatures lower. So you really do need an oven that goes down to 50 degrees or below. It's a much slower process in the oven. Well, I think it is. Maybe that's because I've got a dehydrator, I'm not sure. But you can just lay them out on trays, pop them in the oven. You can expect them to take 1 to 2 days to dry at that temperature. I have a dehydrator. It's just a cheapie. It's nothing special. It's just an easy dry. It's got a whole stack of shelves and it's quite old. I think it's about 15 years old. So I've been using it for quite some time. And it has a variety of different temperature settings on it. And the nut setting is actually 40 degrees. It takes around 24 hours for the nuts to be dry. However, I let my dehydrator run for 48 hours with the nuts in it because I like it when I put my nuts in my mouth, I like them to like really crunch and pop and almost explode in your mouth. So I tend to put them in at 40 degrees for about 2 days. So I'm just going to take the lid off here. And you just spread them out on the tray. And as I said, you can do the same thing in the oven, but you'll be spreading them out on baking trays. You don't want them too piled up on each other. You need a little bit of airflow between them so that they dry out more quickly. Get rid of that. And then we put the lid back on and we switch it on. So that's it. I'll leave that now for 24 hours. And as you can hear, it's kind of noisy. I actually chuck mine out in the garage so I don't have to listen to it. And we will come back in a couple of days' time and I will show you the end result. So it's been a couple of days and I've got my dehydrator inside. The nuts are beautiful and warm. This is when I like to eat them the best, straight off the dehydrator tray. And I've got my dog here beside me who's waiting for me to drop nuts. So they're pretty good. They're really crunchy. And as you can see, they just look like your everyday almonds. It hasn't changed the way they look at all. All it's done is change the digestibility of the nuts. So it's a really simple process. Now I just pop them in an airtight jar and store them in the pantry or in the fridge if you prefer. Mine never lasts long enough to go rancid, so I don't bother. But that is activating nuts. You'd use exactly the same process for seeds, for grains, any sort of nut. It's all the same process.